Hey guys, how's it going? So today I want to give you a tour through the area around the gazebo just because we want to make sure that we are just sharing every step along this whole process of getting our greenhouse installed and kind of decluttering the landscape. And you know how it goes, like usually an area looks more chaos and looks worse before it starts looking better, and that's kind of the stage we're in right now. Not all of this do we have actual plans for quite yet, like this area right here. This brick patio was here when we moved in, and I guess from what we understand there's a concrete pad underneath it all. I'm not sure if that's true, except for we have run into a concrete bottom in this raised bed area. I'm not quite ready to tear all of this apart all at once, because this whole area right here is going to change so dramatically here in just like the next couple of months. So I think we'll enjoy this spot right here. We may move the hydrangeas before they break dormancy just because it's easier on them to do that. But we do have this whole raised bed full of daffodils. In fact, you can see some of them already coming up here. I think, what did we plant in here, Aaron? Like 1,200 daffodils?
A lot.
It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. So we've got one variety that's bigger up here, and then the smaller variety is ringing the whole bottom. And believe it or not, this little grouping of furniture right here is the furniture we use the most in our entire yard. And it was left here kind of. Our friends who we bought our home from, they had several sets of furniture they didn't really want to move to their new home. They wanted to get new stuff. So I think we paid $200 for all of it and just said, well, we have nothing and we have no money because we had spent it all on buying the house. So we were just thankful to have the furniture, and it's served its purpose. Like, it's paid for itself over and over and over again for us anyway. So I do think that we'll want to make this area a pleasant one to sit in, like a seating area still, even though we have talked about possibly expanding the grass area out here and having just more of kind of a green, peaceful spot here before we kind of launch into more of our formal gardens that are going to be around our greenhouse. So many of you know the gazebo we have donated to our city. It's going to go live in a park downtown. They've had several outfits out to take a look at it, kind of figure out logistically how they can move it. And I'm not really sure where we're at in the process, except for I think we're getting closer. Once that's gone, it will look very, very different. But we recently had 2 big pine trees removed from this area here. They just came yesterday and they ground out all the stumps and clean. I mean, this is what it looks like when they're gone. Isn't that nuts? Like this, it's called Natural Tree Service. They're in our local area. When they come in, they make it look like nothing ever existed in that spot. Like, they are so professional at what they do. And you know, my parents had used them far before I ever had a need to use them in one of my landscapes, and so I got to see them do their work, but it's pretty amazing. Those pine trees were full of blight, and I actually missed them a lot less than I thought I was going to, because I think what was holding me back from designing around this area was I knew that we had huge pieces that weren't going to live forever. And it was really, that's hard to design around, because you're like, well, that's such a huge piece. Do I remove it now and start fresh, which is what we decided to do? Or do I limp it along and then have to remove it somewhere down the road and then have to redesign the whole area? So we decided it was best just to take those things out. And it has like lifted a burden for me. I didn't even really see it as a burden, but now I can see it with fresh eyes. When I look out of our windows, out of our house, this is the north side of our house right here. And that's where like our bedroom, you know, our bedroom windows, our great room, our kitchen window looks out, and now I can see our chicken run, and I can see the chickens running around in there, and something about that just makes me so happy. You will notice as well, oh, I should mention, I'm carrying this around because today we're also going to be walking through and tagging plants I want to keep. So we will get some help because I can't do any digging quite yet, so we'll get some help digging those out, and we're just going to hill them in the new property because there's nothing out there. So we'll just kind of dig a big hole and pop them over there until I'm ready to move them back. But anyway, this is where the tool shed was, and we thought it was on a concrete pad, and it's not. There's just one small concrete piece it was sitting on, and that's what we saw coming out from underneath it. So we just figured the whole thing was on concrete, but this is all just soil. A couple of our friends that have a farm outside of town, they came, and it was really fascinating to watch them remove this whole thing. I think Aaron got footage of the whole thing, and that's on our highlights channel. We'll link that video down below. But just kind of in short, what they ended up doing was jacking the tool shed up, and then he brought some round logs or round fence posts or something, and he kind of shifted the shed over this way, put the round logs underneath, and just rolled the shed straight out this way. They put boards on our grass so as not to wreck any grass, and they took the top of that arbor down, and he was able to get his tip trailer in. I don't know, like these people who are used to moving stuff like this, it's amazing to watch them work and how their brains work, because like if it were me, I'd be like, Aaron, we just need to get a saw out. Just take this thing apart, because there's no getting it out without smashing a bunch of stuff or ruining the landscape. And so what he did is he got it about, oh, I don't know, like up to here, and then he had the tip trailer down and had a winch on the back of the tip trailer and kind of lashed around the tool shed and just drug it up onto the trailer, and then out they went. I think they had to kind of pull the side pieces of that arbor out a little bit. Thank goodness they're flexible, because it was a little taller, or I don't know, the roof line was such that, I don't know, I wasn't out here. But the point is they got it out, and now this area is freed up. So they're going to be using it as bunny housing on their farm, which is perfect. I love to know that our things that we're not, I mean, they're not practical for us. We had no use for it sitting here. It's going to be used now, and that makes me happy. Anyway, so that being gone, really, that was like that and the pergola, leaving this space. They were areas, like I said, that we weren't using. The tool shed, I had my mom and I have a bike. Each have a bike that we take down to the coffee shop every once in a while, and we were storing those in the tool shed, but that's it. It was kind of leaning, but it was a very solid building. So anyway, I just love having it gone, because now we have a clear view. I have kind of a clear vision of what I want to do in this space here. And then of course, as we move this way, we will be taking up all the bricks. See, the pine roots were kind of starting to buckle this sidewalk over however many years the sidewalk was down. Then, you know, the walkway changes into flagstones, and then it changes into concrete, which there was a pergola here, none of which we used. It was like I was landscaping around them just because they were here, but I want to have every part, or as much of our landscape, as usable as possible, if that makes sense. Like I want to have a reason to be in every area, and we never came out here. Like there was no seating. I guess we could have put seating in here, but it just didn't make sense. So when we have the gazebo pad, there's a concrete pad under there removed. We will have this removed as well, and we'll just have completely, like a complete blank slate in this area. And now there is the water feature that Greg and Brian put in for us last year. It's really like, it's undisturbed really. A couple of the plants had to be taken out because they ground a stump out right there. But the waterfall itself, everything's still intact. We could leave it here, but I don't think it's going to fit anymore with the aesthetic, but it will fit with the aesthetic that we put up front. So I think we will reuse this and put it up there. That's the plan right now anyway. We'll kind of look at the back area here, because this will change as well. I'm not sure how it's going to change exactly. I have some very loose plans worked up on some grid paper, but I'm imagining that this is going to become flower bed. It won't be gravel up into this area. I'm not sure. I do want to keep the pallet walkway in some sort of capacity, because I do like the whimsical nature that brought to this area, and I think it'll be far enough away from the Hartley that it will work still. We just have to get some new trees planted and such. It won't come out any further into the driveway though. I think that this line will be pretty much the same, so we won't have to rework any of this brick border, which has been wonderful. Having this keep the mulch and the rocks apart from each other just gives it that finished look, and we've really enjoyed that. But this whole area will probably do a pretty decent sized change back here. So as we're walking up to the gazebo, I do want to mention really quick, in terms of what I plan to save, I want to save any like larger shrubs or structural evergreens like this boxwood right here, because like that's a lot of years of growth, and it's a nice plant. Like if you look inside, it's still nice and green, like quite a distance into the middle of the shrub. So I don't really want to have to start over with a lot of things like that. So what I'm going to do is just, oops, I'm going to attempt to tie a red ribbon around it. And then when we have some guys come to dig out everything that we want to save, anything with a red ribbon like that means I would love to try to save this. If you could dig it out and put it on the new property till we're ready, it's perfect. So in terms of smaller perennial plants, I've got some Nepeta in here, blue fescue, which Aaron's going to be so thrilled. We'll probably let that go. Any small perennials we'll let go because they're easy to get a hold of. They're less expensive to plant, and I think it would be nice just to give them away to somebody who can plant them once and then just be done with it, instead of possibly shock these poor plants that are moving once and then coming back. I've got things like David Austin roses. These are all Mary Rose. They're beautiful pink rose. I would like to save things like that, so I'm not going to tag every single thing today, like on camera, because it's going to take a while, but that's essentially what I'm planning to do. Flower beds over here, much of this stuff was here when we moved in. Things like the Quickfire hydrangea. This is a blue chiffon, Rosa Sharon. There's a pink microchip buddleia, Anna's Magic Ball, Thuya over there. I'll save things like that. I've got some sedums planted up front here. Caryopteris is here when we moved in. Things like this I will let go. And how we normally do it is once we have everything dug that I want to save, or that Aaron wants to save, we'll put it out to family first, is usually who we say, like, come on over, bring a shovel and some buckets, dig up what you would like to take to your own garden. Then we put it out to friends, and then anything that's left over we put out for free on the Facebook Marketplace, and just let people come take what they want. And usually we end up with a pretty blank slate, which is nice because one, we don't waste plants. They get to go live somewhere else, and that makes me feel better. And two, it kind of eliminates some work for us too. You know, people are usually willing to come and dig up a few plants for themselves if they're free, and then I don't have to dig them or pay somebody else to dig them out for me. So I've got some other things in this bed that I would like to save. There's 3 Poet's Wife roses right here. 1, 2, 3, I think. Anyway, I've got some of Poet's Wife. I've also got the Fat Albert Blue Spruce right here, which I do want to save. The rest of this stuff is like hardy geraniums. There's some more blue fescue, Jupiter's Beard up here, and irises and things like that, which I don't mind having them go to new homes because I didn't even plant them in this bed. We did remove the teepee, Benjamin's teepee trellis in here, and we will probably relocate that somewhere else. We've actually been looking at play sets. So we had a play set growing up, my brother, sister, and I, and we hardly ever used it. We love to go to the park, and so part of me is like, you know, you make the park a really special, fun place to go. There's tons of space for the kids to run around and climb trees in here. Do we really need a play set? But then, you know, I don't want to rob them of that, of that childhood memory. I have it. We just didn't use it very much, so I don't know. I don't know what you guys, like your experience with your kids, if you've had play sets, if they really use it a lot. I don't know. They love the one at your parents' house. So anyway, we'll see what happens there. But I really like that this is starting to clear up a little bit. So in terms of footprint for the greenhouse, it's pretty much the same size. A little bit longer, I believe. A tiny bit longer and a tiny bit less wide. Deep. So I think that it's kind of perfect because I can see how much space is in here right now and what we've got, which is just kind of a mishmash of stuff at the moment. And I'd really like to set up the greenhouse as kind of an extension of our home and have probably not a table set this big, maybe something round and smaller we can tuck on one end of it. There will be 2 doors, so there'll be the door right here and then the door right directly in front of me that will lead out toward the driveway that we just came from. So there'll be a pass-through area here. It's gonna be so much fun. And then in the front, if we come up this direction, we did opt to have the cold frames put in. So you have the option of putting in like the same, because we're doing a brick fascia, we'll have brick cold frames with the white matching windows that you can pop up. Those will be on both sides. And I think that'll be really fun because this is the south side of the greenhouse and it really captures, like, it's warm right here. Not as warm in the shade, but it's warm here. Right here I've got the carding mill roses I will save. This is a lollipop crabapple I just planted that I'll save. And then I've got some other perennials I probably won't save the spirals. Somebody can come and dig those out, just because I'll probably start fresh. And we'll move our containers, you know, out of the way for the whole process. Our brick walkway that Aaron and I installed is coming out, of course. And I'm not sure what's going to happen up here, except I know we're going to square stuff up quite a bit more than it is now. I was just kind of going with the same curvature of flower beds that were here when we moved in. I made this one a little bit deeper. 5 basketball roses right here, which I will save for sure. These are really, really nice roses. The carding mill, I love the color, but they get a little bit more open and a little bit lankier. They're not quite as strong, and it could be because that area didn't get quite as much sun even as this flower bed here. So I'm looking forward to moving some things, maybe to more proper light, to see what happens, see if it makes the plant a little bit more robust. I'm sure it will. It's about time to start rose pruning anyway. We'll probably do a video here soon, usually right around Valentine's Day. So we're gonna come in and clean up these roses. I usually cut them down to about knee level. And then kind of clean out the interior of the rose or remove anything dead and that sort of thing. These look very big and healthy though, but that might be helpful to do before we move them, to make them a little more small. So that's probably something I'll tackle here in the next week or so, and that's pretty light duty work, so I think I can do that myself. We did plant this linden tree. You might remember there was an ash tree right here. In fact, we treated the suckers last year. They're all dead now that were coming up. The ash tree was starting to die slowly. It had like big sections that would die out every single year, to where we had it, when we moved in, it was quite like good size. By the time we took it out, it was like a lollipop, like with a giant trunk. We decided to take that out and put this is a Redmond or a greenspire linden. I can't really remember. Do you remember? I always think I'm gonna remember. I hope I planted that in a video so I can go back and see what variety it is. Doesn't really matter. We're going to dig this out and put it on the new property because we want to do something, or I would like to do something more balanced and more, probably maybe a different shape than this to go around the greenhouse. Over here we've got just some ground cover Veronica. These boxwoods we might attempt to save. They're pretty old. They were here when we moved in. I mean, they're really pretty. And if I could find a permanent location, that's what I'll probably do with anything that's bigger, like the tree and like these boxwoods. I'll probably find somewhere where we can just let them be. We'll dig a hole, we'll transplant them, and then just hope for the best and not try to move them more than one time. So guys, that's pretty much it. We just wanted to make sure that we are documenting this whole entire project. It's really exciting and it's scary. Like when we had those trees removed, and I think I explained this in the video, like I called one day and they came the next day to take them out. And usually I have months between when I schedule to have it done because they're usually so booked out. And it worked out for us to be able to have it done, which I'm kind of glad for because it gave me less time to think about. I mean, we had scheduled 10 trees to be removed and I got weak and we decided to keep the crabapple up front because I do have a weakness for that tree. It has fire blight, but I'm going to keep trying to treat it and try to save that one because I do love that tree so much. But when we actually had everything gone, it just like this whole thing has gotten exponentially more exciting just to see things kind of go that I knew needed to go. I knew they needed to go. And like the tool shed and the pergola as well, they needed to go. They were serving no purpose. The pergola's living at a friend's house. He came and took it apart one board at a time, was gonna put it back together just the same way at his house. And then the tool shed being used will be really nice too. And I don't think that those two things were gone at the end of the pine tree video. So I wanted to show you that area and then kind of explain our thoughts on the brick patio area, which, you know, I think what I envision this area looking like right now, it will be completely different from what it actually looks like in the end. But that'll be the fun part, just kind of showing you step by step what we're doing. So we'll have another video when we come out to dig everything. I'm not sure how it's going to all go down and how it's going to look on the new property. We're just going to line stuff up out there. It's kind of the perfect space, and this winter has been an absolute gift. I mean, the ground isn't frozen. We can get out here and we can dig, and it's not always like that the very first part of February. Sometimes we're, you know, whatever, 52 inches deep in snow. You just never know what's going to happen. And it's been fairly wet and things. We've had a lot of moisture, so I think our plants are going to be very, very happy. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed kind of hearing some of the thought process behind what's going on. And this will look different. Hopefully in the next month, the gazebo will be gone and we will be starting to lay foundation possibly for the greenhouse. It's exciting. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.